So a quorum being present, the committee will come to order, and I'd like to thank the members of the committee for attending this evening, and we shall work as expeditiously as we can. Today we'll consider H.Res. 245, the primary expense resolution for the 116th Congress, and Committee Resolution 116-09 to approve frank mail allowances for committees. The funding resolution represents a best effort between what is needed and what is available. In determining these authorizations, the committee consulted with the Appropriations Committee to determine the most prudent overall amount, understanding that we are working under an appropriation that was enacted last fall. We've increased the amount available in the reserve fund for the second session to better enable this committee working together to meet new responsibilities of the committees and to give us the ability to move quickly, assuming there is a new appropriation enacted this fall. It is my intention to work closely with Ranking Member Davis to reach agreement on expenditures from the reserve fund, and if for some reason we're not able to reach agreement, then it is my intention that expenditures will be subject to a vote of the committee. In addition to considering the primary expense resolution, we will also consider Committee Resolution 116-09 to approve frank mail allowances for committees for the 116th Congress. This resolution enables committees to meet their incidental postal needs. These levels have proved more than sufficient in previous Congresses. I'm now pleased to recognize our ranking member, Mr. Davis, for any opening statement he may have before we proceed to the business part of our meeting.
Well, thank you, Madam Chairperson. I'd like to start by saying I appreciate the bipartisanship and the sensibility that I saw during this committee funding resolution process. The funding resolution that is being marked up today is a very reasonable one. It balances the reality that many of our committees need more resources to effectively do their work with the fact that we as an institution have to operate within our fiscal reality. When I first reviewed the budget request from our standing and select committees, it stood out to me that several committees were asking for increases of more than 15%. And in some cases, the asks were above 25%. As well-intentioned as those requests might be, they are simply not reasonable or sustainable. What the majority is proposing equates to an average increase per committee of about 3.8%. The resolution, as drafted, gives the largest percentage increase to the Ethics Committee for the purpose of updating the Ethics Manual, which I believe is a worthwhile endeavor that is long overdue. Additionally, I'm pleased to see the inclusion of language that gives this committee the authority to have committee chairs and ranking members come before us to do a mid-Congress check-in on resource usage. This will give us the ability to make informed decisions on any needed adjustments in the second session. I must note one area of concern, and that is providing $3.7 million to a committee that has no legislative authority, the Select Committee on Climate Crisis. Anytime we do not utilize our existing committee structure, we risk wasting valuable resources that could have been used more effectively. I would also like to call attention to the funding amount proposed in the Committee Reserve Fund for the second session of this Congress. It is $6.5 million, which is a considerable amount. This reserve will allow us flexibility to make additional resources available to committees if needed. And I've been assured, as Madam Chairperson mentioned, that any funds allocated from the reserve will be done transparently by including discussions with the minority in advance. Finally, I must note that once again, the Appropriations Committee, the committee with the largest budget, is not part of this vital process of checks and balances that every other committee participates in. I know the appropriators are special, or at least that's what they all tell me, Mr. Aguilar. However, I think their inclusion in the committee funding resolution would make the process more whole. I support this resolution wholeheartedly, and I thank the chairperson for her bipartisanship and her willingness to work with me. And in spite of Mr. Aguilar being here as an appropriator, I again yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. I'll now call up H.Res. 245 without objection. The first reading of the resolution is dispensed with, and without objection, the resolution is considered as read and open for amendment at any point. Does any member wish to be recognized regarding H.Res. 245? If not, then I move that H.Res. 245 be reported favorably to the House. All those in favor of reporting H.Res. 245 favorably to the House will say aye. Aye. Opposed will say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The motion of favorable report H.Res. 245 to the House is agreed to, and the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table. Committee resolution, I now call up Committee Resolution 116-09. Does any member wish to be recognized regarding Committee Resolution 116-09?
Madam Chair.
Mr. Davis.
Thank you. I support this routine bipartisan resolution. This committee has passed this resolution every Congress since the 109th Congress. And as the former chair of the Franking Commission, thank you to my co-chair, Ms. Davis. I'm happy to support it again this year. It gives committees an appropriate amount to cover their franked mail costs while establishing a reasonable limit to prevent any abuse. I look forward to continuing this bipartisan work on franking issues in the 116th Congress, and I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Any other member wish to be heard on this resolution? Seeing none, the question is on approving Committee Resolution 116-09. All in favor will say aye. Opposed will say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The resolution is agreed to, and the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table. Without objection, the staff is authorized to make technical and conforming changes, and there being no further business, the committee business meeting stands adjourned. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you. Jamie?
Good to see you, sir.
Too. I was told, man. I was told.
That we'd be quick.